Well,
Okay.
now we have it on camera that you didn't want to shake my
I don't
hand.
want a little second reign here.
Okay, what's up?
Okay, so I just want to first understand what your stance is on DEI, like why you think it should be illegal.
DEI, sure. I can actually simplify it into just one quick statement that I don't think that we should be prioritizing individuals based on their identity group over meritocracy. I want to live in a society that is colorblind, that doesn't involve us. There's a robot behind us. Whoa! I do want to live in a society with robots, but I don't want to live in a society where we look at each other based off color, based off gender, and that's about to run you over. And I feel like, unfortunately, DEI, it's Lorena.
Let Lorena rock, bro.
Come on, right? Let Lorena through. Yeah, I don't want to live in a society where colleges or places like AT&T force us to go through a hiring process or an application process that includes our race and then qualify us into those places based off race. Maybe I can concede something so you can drop the guard because I see you're pretty angry.
I'm
what I want to
fine.
concede is that do I think people are racist? Absolutely. There's no way to eliminate racism from people. People are going to be racist, and they do exist. And what I hope happens to racists is probably the same thing that everybody here hopes happens to racists. But to make the claim that America is systemically racist or is institutionally racist, meaning that universities or businesses can discriminate you based off your skin color, your race, in 2025 is beyond me. So what do you disagree with? What do you think?
Well, okay. So, first of all, coming from an immigrant household myself, my own parents have experienced racism in the workforce. Things put in place like DEI are, in a sense, like not discriminating, they're guardrails. It's making sure that everyone is equally given the same opportunities. I'm assuming you're an immigrant as well,
I'm an
right?
immigrant. You found that out a little bit earlier.
I did, but
okay.
I didn't want to assume that you were from there. Or
Can I ask you, when you said that your parents have experienced workplace discrimination or racism, can you explain a little bit of what that is?
Yeah, my dad said he wasn't good enough because he wasn't from here.
Okay. And who, his fellow colleagues said that, or his boss?
No, his boss said that. So that can
and when did this happen?
This happened around 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, so around 2021, your dad went into his usual place where he already got hired, right? And his boss said, "We're letting you go," right? Is that correct? We're letting you go?
No, they weren't letting him go.
Okay, but
it was just like a conversation.
It was a conversation,
Yeah.
right? That person said, what did he say again? That you're...
No, you're not, like, you can't work here because, or not, you can't work here, like, you shouldn't
work here because of where you're from,
Yeah.
correct? That's racist, I agree, right? Did he get fired from that place?
No, he ended up having to quit.
Why did he quit?
Because HR was like, no, this and that, like, it's gonna take we're gonna need statements from here to there. My dad wanted a new job at the end of the day, and then he ended up getting hired at Microsoft, which was a much bigger opportunity.
That's great, that's fantastic.
Which, yeah,
right?
but it's not, just because
Just one second, can I just pause you for one thing?
Yeah.
From what I'm hearing is that your father made the right choice. He got hired to a place, he experienced racism in the workforce, and he thought to himself, hey, I don't want to work in this environment anymore, especially if HR isn't going to do anything about this. I'm going to quit my job because I live in America, and America provides me the opportunity to go to a better place and get hired regardless of my race, regardless of where I'm from. That's the whole thing. One second, I'll let you finish. DEI. Yes, we exist everywhere. I'm not an animal. Actually, by the way, you see him? He's a unicorn today. So get him on camera because this is crazy.
Why do you keep having him
Because he does identify as a unicorn today, right?
Bo doesn't even know what he's here
it is
for.
what it is. But you see what I mean? No place discriminated him based, like said, we can't hire you and we're not going to give you the job because you come from a certain background. That doesn't exist in America, and the best example of that is what you just told me.
Okay, but just because someone is a person of color or comes from a different background, why does that make them any less qualified for a job?
I don't think they are.
Okay, you might not think they are,
I
but
don't think
big
that anybody in
corporations
America.
might.
Well, let me re-say that. Corporations don't think that. Institutions don't think that. Institutions like colleges. I mean, one second. My best example of that, again, is that if that was happening on a systemic level or institutionalized level, meaning I would go to a place and they wouldn't hire me just because of the skin of my color. Do you know the ACLU?
No.
The ACLU is like an organization that sits there and prays that something like this happens. Do you know how many times it happens a year?
How many times?
There's no statistic for how many times it happens a year. There's only a statistic for how many times it happens in the last 10 years, and it was 6 times, of which 3 times it ended up being not even the case that it's due to racism or anything whatsoever. So, again, we agree that racism exists in America. People are racist. I think we all want to see the same thing happen with racists, but institutionalized racism, systemic racism is different, and that doesn't exist in America, which is why I don't think we need DEI, because DEI actually brings us back against all the progress that we've made. I'm sure you think we have a dark history, right? I also agree. And I think things like affirmative action would, I think you agree too. No, we all agree. Affirmative action, steal money from white people, is that what it said?
Yeah, that's what it said, yeah.
That's wild. I'd like to hear why, but I guess he's gone now. But okay. Go ahead, sorry. I'm just yapping.
No. Okay, but my thing is like, so you're saying that we're being systemically racist because we're not like allowing white people to get in the job force? Like,
No,
I don't understand what your point is with that.
I'm saying
DEI is just meant to be a safeguard for people of color who have a rough background to be able to get into the workforce and have people of color around them. Like, it's like...
My man's shaking his head over here.
Oh, sorry.
No, if you want to, like...
Oh, I just went up there.
And maybe you agree with me on this, is that DEI, everything you just said, was in place right after the Civil Rights Act was passed because America was systemically racist. You couldn't guarantee that somebody who just received full rights could go into a place like AT&T and have the same equal opportunity as somebody like a white person, white male, let's say. That's why they had affirmative action. But to have DEI, which is literally not what you're saying, DEI in the application process is the employer looking at you and saying, oh, well, he came from this city. Oh, that city's attached to this kind of crime rate. Oh, you know what? This is his rate. This is his skin color. Oh, you know what? It's not even a male. It's a female. Taking all of this stuff into the hiring process in 2025 is actually racist.
But
because
why
one second,
shouldn't that be taken into account?
we'll get you in line next if you want to. Absolutely.
But why shouldn't that be taken into account? Like, for example, me being Hispanic, I'm bilingual. I can speak both Spanish and English. That might be a trait that someone else who was born here, who has no other family background or something.
But that's something that you include in your resume, right?
That can be something that I include, but that's just something that they need to take into consideration. It's also like...
They take into consideration when they say, I am thinking about hiring her. Wow, in the resume it says that she's bilingual. I don't want them to look at you and say, we need Hispanics, let's get her in here. That's
but what if
DEI
they do need Hispanics?
Then have you
But
looked,
they can't actively say that.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
Okay, so you haven't applied for like a job through Indeed or Glassdoor or
No,
something?
I have.
Okay.
I've actually had an internship at a law firm for
there
a
you go.
bit. Yeah.
There you go. When they say they're looking for Spanish speakers, it says that in the application process, right?
Yeah.
It
Well,
does-
no, they're
Like
looking
sometimes in the job listing it says preferably Spanish speaking, or we're looking for Spanish speaking, right? What if in that same application process it said looking for white people, looking for black people?
They can't say that.
What? Wait.
Okay. Yeah, I see how I got it. They can't say that, but they can look for that.
Have you seen some of these job listings where the company takes like $10 million in grants from the federal government to have DEI, right? So they hire a DEI consultant, they hire DEI HR department, they hire DEI recruiters, and they all train them using that money of how to target specifically individuals based off race and based off gender, all with one mission. They believe it's one mission, to diversify the workplace. But realistically, it's just racist policies. We all know Delta here, right?
Yeah.
Like Delta's home of Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
It has a diversity quota. That means that they have to hire a certain amount of black people, a certain amount of white people, Asians, Mexicans. Why? That means that they're going through the application process and are literally, I know this because I have insider information, and saying, nope, that last name does not look black. Nope, that last name does not look black. Nope. That is literally bringing us pre-civil rights, where I look at you and I literally look at you through the lens of race. I'm not saying I'm against diversity. I'm not a racist. I say it 10 times already. I think we should hang racists from this tree. Let's do that.
Okay, maybe not that much, but
Come on. I know I'm a little more extreme.
yeah, okay. And then I just want to talk a little bit about guns. Is that cool? Just a little bit.
What do you think about the DEI thing, though? Does
I think
that make more sense?
Yeah, it makes more sense. I still believe there should be policies in place to make sure that people of color are given equal opportunities. Maybe DEI wasn't the correct way to go about it, but something around those lines. It's like
Civil Rights Act that makes it a federal crime, makes it a federal crime to discriminate people when they employ them. Or
everything has its pros and cons. America, I mean, we learn from our previous mistakes. It's like the United Nations wasn't established before, like the League of Nations was a fail. So DEI could be the stepping stone for something in the future that could possibly work, if that makes sense.
All right, let's talk about guns.
Okay. Why should anyone be able to own a semi-automatic rifle? Like, what's the point in that? It's not for hunting.
Do you think that AR stands for automatic rifle?
Or whatever it is. Like, I don't have one, so I can't say I'm educated. I just know that something that can fire multiple shots with one round is, what's the need for that?
We're not live. Interesting. We'll fix that in a second. First of all, AR doesn't stand for assault rifle.
Okay. I don't own guns.
Assault rifles aren't legal in America to obtain as a civilian. We have handguns. We have
semi-automatics.
We don't have something that's like an automatic rifle in America.
And yet, how many school shootings happen with those type of guns?
A lot less than the handguns, actually.
You wanna read some statistics together? Because this shocked me as well.
Okay.
You're 20 times more likely to die by a lightning strike than you are by a gun.
That's not true.
It's literally, I mean, you can look that up.
Okay, where did you get that?
That is data that's available. So they crossed that data from the FBI crime statistics data, and then they coordinated that with the weather, like whatever, NOAA, national, whatever it's called.
Can someone choose to get you struck by lightning?
No, but do you understand the likelihood of you dying by a gun is 20 times less than you being struck by lightning. It's actually, you're more likely to die from a falling object than you are by a gun. One second, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about everyone. So you dying, not at a construction site even, where it's more likely
so
for that
actually,
to happen. If I just literally an object, so wait, listen to this, unicorn. 3 times likely more to die by a bee than a gun. You're 3 times more likely to die from a bee. A bee sting, then you're a gun. You're more likely to be killed as a pedestrian than by a gun. And then one second. Does anybody know here who got attacked by a shark?
no.
Do you guys know anybody that got attacked by a shark?
I know someone who's been shot though.
Okay. So you're 30 times more likely to die from a vending machine falling on you than a shark attack. And guess what? You're just as likely to die from a shark attack as by a gun. So.
Respond to what you're saying super quickly. Yeah, general humans. Sure, die by gunshot.
This bro is not being for real. It says that we have 47,000 people die from gun violence last year.
Now look up how many people die from lightning strikes. So it's like 400,000.
And that's just in the United States. Yeah.
400,000.
So, and quickly, do you know how many of those 47,000 gun deaths that you just said were suicide deaths?
Yeah, actually 38%.
It's 60%. So about 32,000 of the 47,000 gun deaths in America are suicide. Where's our stat sheet? It's the FBI data and crime statistics. So that's the reality of it. So now let's talk about the 15,000 deaths that occur in America because somebody shot somebody.
Lightning strike kills 20 people each year in the United States.
In the world.
That's even worse for you, 20 compared to 47,000. Your argument is that you're more likely to get struck by lightning and die than get shot and killed by a gun.
That's not what I said. I said you're more likely to get struck by lightning and die in the world than you are to die by a gun death. That is true.
20 people.
You're
20
looking in the
people.
United States.
No, each sheep. Okay.
He's one.
But we're
No, not
talking
that's
about
in the world,
Make
that's in the
America
United
Great
States.
Again. It's on your hat. You're talking about America. We're not talking about the world.
Yes, because of how rare it is to die from lightning. We're comparing lightning strikes in the entire world to the amount of deaths in America. That is crazy. Like guys, you guys understand that you're 20 times more likely to be anywhere in this world and be struck by
Even
lightning
then,
and die
it's
than 1 second.
24,000. It's 24,000.
All right.
And that's not even me, like, that's the first place, like, that pops up.
I know. What is that? Is that? What are you looking at?
Hold on. Vesala,
What is that?
first one I came up with.
First thing that pops up from AI.
No, it's a peer-reviewed article.
Wait, but do you still see the odds being less versus the intentionality behind gun deaths, whether it's suicide or not?
Get up a little closer to the mic there so we can hear you.
Sure. I mean, I don't want to take it. Okay. But like, do you still see the difference between the intentionality of gun deaths, even if it's suicide, versus lightning strikes?
Yeah, do you understand that if you're going to make the argument of why we shouldn't be able to obtain guns in America is because of people dying, then we also have to take into account how rare that is. We live in a population of,
I completely,
yeah, we live in a population of 360 million Americans.
Yeah.
There are 400 plus million privately owned guns. This is not counting police arms and everything,
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm not arguing with
So
with
the
that.
reality of
I
it
see
is,
that.
yeah.
I see that.
Let me just elaborate my sign here so it can make sense.
One last thing. If there was, I just want to make a parallel with the lightning strikes and gun deaths.
Sure.
I know. Okay, stats. She's looking it up. You got the numbers. If there were people saying like, I want to walk around with a giant metal rod anywhere I go, it's my right to, and we tell them like, hey, that's going to increase your risks of getting struck by lightning if you're in this area, like a golf course on during a lightning storm, right?
Yeah.
So for us to say like you're putting yourself at risk by carrying this thing is going to increase the likelihood of you getting hurt. We can agree that, right?
Not when it comes down to guns, right?
I'm talking about lightning strikes.
If I walked around with a golf club held high up while it's lightning around me, I'd probably increase the chances of that lightning striking me, right? But we can all agree that increase is probably minimal. It is so rare.
Yeah.
So 1 second, just 1 second, just
Sure,
so I can debunk this whole argument real quickly. According to a study conducted by the NIH, National Institute of Health, more concealed carries yield to less crime. So if you're equating to more guns being in the area, are you listening to me?
Yeah.
If you're equating to more guns being in the area, or people being able to obtain more guns, or to be legally allowed to walk around with them, essentially having more guns present leads to more death, then we wouldn't have the FBI and the NIH statistics that shows us otherwise.
Do you think the lightning rods that are on top of these buildings do anything to prevent us getting struck by lightning?
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe,
Do you think certain restrictions?
some of the things we have in place are preventing some of those deaths you're quoting from lightning strikes, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
What we're saying is maybe having the same things in place to prevent gun deaths.
Like what? Right. So that's why I agree with you guys.
More screening, you know.
Like what? Right. Have you obtained a gun legally in Georgia before?
No, I've not.
Okay. I have.
Why would you need a concealed carry?
1 second. You haven't gone through the process either, right? Of obtaining, just to see for yourself what the process is like.
No, I have not. No.
Okay.
No.
I encourage everyone that believes that the process in Georgia, there's almost no restrictions really.
Sure.
To obtain a gun is as easy as walking into the store and saying, I like this Doritos bag, I'm gonna check out and get it. I invite you guys to go through it.
Sure.
I agree with you, and this is where I want, real quickly, I want to concede something.
Sure.
This sign is meant to be educated by people like you guys.
Yeah.
When mass shootings happen, when assassinations happen, a lot of college students automatically go to, we need to have gun reform. We need to restrict the ability to obtain a gun. We never talk about the person. So I invite everybody here to a conversation about what is the correct approach. If you believe it's to restrict guns in terms of gun reform, then I'm open to hearing what do you actually want to do more than what we have in place already. I'm not an absolutist that says, hey, we need no restrictions whatsoever. I like how Georgia has it. It's the perfect balance in it. So I'm open to hearing everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, just from the rules that we have right now, if somebody obtains a weapon fully legally, went through all the processes, what's stopping a careless parent from leaving something open and available for like a kid to take it to, do something bad with it?
The fact that they will end up in jail for that, right? So there's laws in place that make it illegal for a parent to be negligent. There are places. One second.
Yeah.
There are laws in place to deter that from happening, because if a parent is negligent and their kid ends up using their gun in the process of committing something violent, then now the parents are held accountable for this.
Okay, but that's the law for after the incident occurs.
Okay, I'm open to hearing. I'm open to hearing a solution from you for what you think we can do more to prevent that from happening.
Well, one school system should probably have, like, when you go to a concert, they do metal detector checks. Some schools have like clear bags that you have to use. Like, I know some schools in downtown, you can't go to school with like a regular backpack, things like that. Another thing, I believe that if you have a child that is under 18, you shouldn't be able to have a gun. Because what if that child...
The house, you're saying the household shouldn't be able to have a gun, right? Like the parents shouldn't be able to have a gun in the household?
The household should be able to.
Okay. One quick thing before I address the first thing that you said. The CDC, the CDC isn't a right-winger source. They've concluded that people possessing guns, when they have a defensive gun usage, every year they save between 500,000 to 3 million lives. Just because a person is able to have a gun and protect his family or himself in a violent situation. 500,000 people are saved every year. The low end number, if you want to take the high end, it's 3 million every year, just because a law-abiding citizen has a gun that they've obtained because of their constitutional right to do so.
Wait,
One second. Let me just quickly say the first one, and then we'll go back to it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. These are preventative measures that I would like to see happen systemically. We see them happening in Texas. We see them happening in Georgia. I know that in Georgia because I went to a high school in Georgia where we had 6 different exits, and they were open all day long. I could skip lunch and come right back in without anybody knowing.
Yeah.
That's how you allow a shooter to come in, and that's quick reform that you can do without talking about policy regarding the guns or mental illness and stuff like that. So I like that. I'm on board with that.
So I want to
go ahead. Yes.
I want to ask you. You're saying you're in support of there not being any cuts to gun availability, right?
I don't see any measures that would efficiently reduce the amount of deaths that are occurring or mass shootings that happen by restricting or passing policies that restrict people's ability to obtain a gun.
So what suggestions do you have? Just out of curiosity.
And that's why I'm here on a college campus, to learn more from you guys about what are the actual solutions to this, because to be fully transparent, as I was with the guy before, I don't know what the solution is. I don't think, let's talk about this. Do you think the guy that assassinated Charlie Kirk, if there was some preventative measure in terms of how to obtain the gun legally, it would have stopped him from carrying out No. If a person is radicalized, if a person is mentally ill and they want to do something, regardless of how many things prevent him from doing that, they will eventually obtain the tool to do that, right?
If somebody is radical enough, then yes, the tools, right?
So I understand
that you're saying is that if they wanted to get a weapon, they would do it legally or illegally, right?
Correct. Yeah. So there's no restriction on a gun. 1 second, I'll say this. There's no restriction on gun policies through guns through policy that can prevent that, right?
Well, you're saying if they really wanted to get a gun, they could still get a gun. The problem is there is still a gun, whether there's the legislation or not.
So is the solution to get back all the guns that are out there and then ban them, right? That's not realistic.
Well, I'm not saying it doesn't have to be realistic or not. You're saying what's a solution?
I want a realistic solution. I mean, look, I have a utopian solution, but it's not realistic. We need to have a realistic one. Realistically, if somebody wants to commit a crime and all it is that there's a certain prevention from obtaining a tool. They'll eventually obtain a tool, whether legally, illegally, they'll go to a different tool and obtain that. So instead of thinking about that kind of reform, maybe we should talk about like school reform, like we're talking about, or something that I'm kind of back and forth about is, how do we stop a mentally ill person from getting one? Like if you're mentally ill and you walk into a gun store in Georgia and they see that you're mentally ill, they're not getting you a gun, right? Right? 100%. All right. For the people that haven't done that, so that is the case. The people that sell the guns will get in so much trouble if that happens. But what do you do about a person that becomes mentally ill after or doesn't show signs of it because they've never went to the doctor or anything like that? Well, what's been proposed in states like Florida is red flag laws. I have a problem with that because what if we have somebody that hates guns who's also a psychologist and says, hey, they shouldn't be able to obtain a gun just because they hate guns. That is realistic. I think we all agree here that the federal government, I can't trust them. Look at justice reform, right? Yeah. So a judge can at any point be like, I don't like him, so we're going to take the guns away from him. So that's the problems I have, is that a good solution that's in my head ends up actually could potentially be abused or end up in a situation where the government just prevents us from obtaining a gun because they don't want it.
I just want to parallel this with any kind of law that prevents people from doing the things that they should be able to do. Like if I get a car that can drive 200 miles an hour, why shouldn't I be able to drive that on the highway? That is risking other people's lives and my own, right?
The analogy for that, though, is that
do you agree with that analogy?
No, because we don't have the ability. But we don't have the ability to own automatic rifles, right? So there's one second.
Just talking about
so guns.
Wait, let me finish this 1 second.
Just 1 second. Cars kill people, right?
It's the cars that kill the person, not the driver.
It's the driver, right? My argument, it's the driver. It's the person, not the gun and not the tool.
If the driver didn't have a car, could they speed down to 85 at 190 miles an hour?
No, but sure.
So I was a cop for 6 years. When I was in Wisconsin, the majority of my tickets that I gave were non-licensed drivers. So whether they're going to have a license or not, it wasn't their car either. It was a family's car, so they're gonna get a car no matter what. And a lot of them would wreck eventually. And so it's the same as guns. You know, I have guns. Okay, I've been trained on guns for 8 years in the Army, 6 years as a cop, and I was also raised on guns growing up. I took my hunter safety course when I was 11. So people are gonna obtain things they need or they want, regardless of a rule. Same with drugs. You know, meth's illegal, right? People still get meth in America. But
right. I mean, criminals, right, will still commit the crime regardless if it's illegal, right? That's why they're criminals. So it's great points, but the main point about the car, right, is that are you going to restrict people from having cars because in the process of someone driving a car, they killed someone?
You would suspend their license for sure, right?
You would suspend their license, but we're not going to ban cars.
Well, we should definitely in an idealistic approach, right? In an idealistic approach, yes, we can have cars that don't go above a certain thing or public transport or something. But
I mean, we do have that, right? I mean, like when I drive a car, I can't go 200 miles because I have a nice car, BMW, but the meter maxes out at like 130, right? So there's certain regulations, and you're actually making the point that there are certain regulations for guns. We shouldn't remove the tool completely. And the best example of that is, have you guys seen what happened in Europe in the last 3 years? Right? They don't have guns in Europe whatsoever. They have mass epidemic of knives to the point of where now they're putting legal age to buy a knife. That means, what are we going to do? Take kitchen knives away from like the homes, right? So that's the problem. He's been waiting for a while. What's up? He's my unicorn, so. Oh, you're just watching, yeah.
I actually agree with this. So I don't like. Look at the autobahns in Europe. They don't have speed limits. Do you see a lot of deaths by cars in Europe? No. So what's the difference between America and Europe?
I was stationed in Germany, and the autobahn is crazy.
I love the autobahns. I actually have family who lives in Germany, and I was on the autobahn all the time. So much. It was kind of scary going that fast. I can't lie, because I've never been that fast here in America before. But it was kind of fun at the same time.
So as of right now, nobody nobody here has a solution to gun deaths, right?
Lock up all the mentally insane.
As in, like, none of you have anything to put onto the table for
Yeah,
a
lock up all the
proposal.
mentally insane. Then they can't use guns to shoot up schools.
Well, that's a problem, because how do you determine who's
Mental tests.
how can I? Okay, what if I say you have some level of anger issues and
Yeah, then I shouldn't have a gun because I could flip at any moment and shoot up someone.
so if somebody, like, let's say, is everybody going to take this test?
No, I mean,
What
here's
about
where
the 400 million guns
here's
that are already out here?
here's where I disagree, right? Because NIH, FBI, 30% of mass shooters severe mental illness. 60% have documented issues. 80% have mental health problems. They just didn't go and report, right? Obviously, it's a mental health issue that we're experiencing because the person that goes in. One second. The person.
Do mass shootings happen in other countries?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mass shootings
stabbings happening in
I
places
said mass
where.
shootings.
Mass shootings?
Yeah, do they happen in other
New Zealand, Australia, Germany just had one.
Proportionally.
Well, proportionally. Remember, lightning strikes are 20 more times likely to kill you.
I'm talking about availability of weapons to the occurrences of gun death.
Okay, Switzerland's another one.
Has just as many guns as
I just want to hear from you first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, Switzerland's another good example on top of Germany being a great example. But yeah, Switzerland's actually a phenomenal example
They
for
haven't
that.
they haven't had a mass shooting in about 24 or 25 years, and they have just as many guns as we do. So when I was stationed in Germany, I got to travel.
I need to look at. I'm talking to him. I'm sorry.
Okay, so what was the question?
I'm saying proportionally, how come this is the only country? Either we have a lot more mentally ill people, then we need to look at that in accordance with gun laws, or it's the guns. So
Okay,
what are you
again,
saying?
I'll ask you this, right?
No, I just want you to
I
answer.
know. No.
Which one is it?
We're
Mental-
having a normal conversation.
No, yeah,
if it
I
was
just want to
preventable,
finish my-
one second.
my
I understand completely. If you prevented the person that recently shot up the school, I think it was in Colorado, if you prevented him from obtaining a gun because there was a certain restriction on guns, would he have not committed that crime?
Who's to say? I don't know. What do you mean?
Was he mentally ill?
I don't know. I don't know the.
Well, you have to be
story.
mentally ill to go to go and shoot up a school and shoot up kids. You have to be mentally ill, or you have to be
What do you
radicalized.
have? I don't know the death counter.
Well,
How many people
80%
he
of
harmed.
mass shootings
No,
are
I'm
due to
talking
mental
about
health,
the one
right?
I'm talking about the one you just
Yes.
stated.
Okay. It was
Would he
due to
have-
mental. It was
if
due
he-
to mental health, right? So one
if he did
second.
not
One
have-
second.
no,
One second.
No,
right?
you just said
it happened, right?
If he did not have that weapon, would he have been able to harm that many people?
Let's look at it. If that gun wasn't available for purchase legally, would he have obtained it other ways?
I'm not talking about whether he would have.
You
the gun or
don't
not.
want to answer that question because it completely destroys the whole argument that you're trying to present. One second. Let me finish, and let me just finish
Let
this.
me answer your question. Let me answer your
Okay,
question.
perfect. I want an
Yeah.
answer.
So when I say he would have gotten it another way, we're still talking about a gun. If you can rewind this. You just asked if he did not have the gun, like what harm could he have done?
No, I didn't say that. I'm asking you in America, if you restricted anybody, the whole US, every state
Yeah.
doesn't allow you to legally obtain the gun at a gun store. You can't legally obtain a gun at all in America anymore. Do you think that person would have not obtained that tool to commit that crime?
Did he obtain it legally? No, wait. Just follow. Just
Okay.
entertain me.
Another example.
No, just entertain
Charlie,
me.
the person that assassinated
Just
Charlie Kirk.
entertain me.
Okay, I'm
Did he-
entertaining it.
did
The
he
person
gain the
that
gun
assassinated
legally?
Charlie Kirk. Do you know how he obtained that gun? Do you know what kind of gun he used?
No, I'm just asking
It's a
you.
single bolt rifle. It's a hunting gun. One second. That your party says I'm the only. That's the only
Don't
gun.
assume my party.
I know. I assume.
Yeah.
That's pretty much anybody that's for gun reform. They constantly say the only guns that we should be able to possess are hunting rifles, which is a single bolt action rifle that killed Charlie Kirk. Do you know how he obtained that gun?
No, you
He
brought up
didn't.
the
He
point.
didn't go and purchase the gun at a gun store. He had a sick idea in his head that Charlie Kirk oppresses my rights and my boyfriend, his trans boyfriend's rights to exist. So I'm gonna kill this person. That's the idea in his head. Now, what am I gonna do to do that? Well, if I go up buy a gun, I may be able. They'll be able to know that that gun is attached to me. So I'm gonna illegally obtain that gun. There you go. He illegally obtained that gun. So I want to hear from you now. What policy in America would have prevented that from happening?
If there were no guns whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are no guns whatsoever in Germany. How are people able to commit mass shootings?
No, I just
Not
said
people,
if there
sorry,
were no-
terrorists. Okay. Okay. There are no more guns in England, but they have mass epidemics of stabbings. Are we going to ban knives now too to prevent that from happening? I mean, the solution.
Can somebody kill somebody with a knife from
Yes.
200 yards away?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's still enough to throw.
Yes, they can do that.
What are
They
the
can
odds
come
of
up
that?
to them and commit a mass stabbing epidemic, or sorry, mass
The
stabbing.
distance doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The
distance
fact
does
that
not
someone's
matter.
dying.
No, exactly. Someone is dying, they're using a tool to kill them. What is your proposed solution for that? Is it also to ban knives?
What I'm talking about is like the proportional amount of death to a gun versus knives is not comparable.
100 people are being stabbed a day in England alone. What are we going to do about
You also
that?
have mass killing with the cars, so you can start banning
what
cars
I'm-
as well.
Well, there you go. We go
What
back
I'm
to the
saying-
car argument.
Exactly.
You got to understand that at some point, it is it's not worth it for you to say that it's the tool, because constantly the mentally ill people can replace the tool. What you need to do,
by
one second,
no
one
means-
second,
No,
y'all.
I'm about to have
The
to
one
go,
thing,
but
I know you
by-
got to go, so
by
you
no
want to stop
means-
talking, but we got to talk about the person, because without the tool, the person still exists there. So even if you limit the tool, you prevent the tool, you take every law-abiding citizen's rights from obtaining that tool and saving 500,000 lives a year, you will still have a crazy mentally ill person who will go and carry out whatever he wants to.
I just want to say. two
Look at that!
things.
Look at that! Does that?
I just want to say two
Can I
things.
show that real quickly? So I'm showing this. Is that gonna hurt you right now?
It's an image of a gun.
Okay.
The guns that he owns.
Is that gonna hurt you? It's in the case, right, at
Okay.
home. Is that gonna hurt you? So why are you gonna prevent a law-abiding citizen's right to self-defense, which we know, which we know happens at least 500,000 times a year? Why would you prevent him from doing that? What are you gonna say?
Okay.
Say that also,
I wanna-
if you start banning guns for all Americans, those Republicans that own guns, you're gonna probably start a whole civil war, because they're not gonna let people take their guns away. They're gonna start shooting.
Okay. So, can a mentally well person be unwell? Can you
They
agree?
can probably get there, yeah.
Yeah, somebody can get there, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Whether
How-
they gamble all their money away, someone dies,
Sure.
like they get cheated on, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt
Not
that
everybody is okay 100% of the time. We can agree with that, right? Let's have like that level of
we
agreement.
definitely, yeah.
Can somebody that has a gun already while they were mentally well, they themselves, outside of any other influences, get mentally unwell?
Absolutely, and we've seen that happen.
Okay, so what is the bridge in the middle that if, I don't know if he's your friend, he has a weapon, he's fine now, but who's to say in 4 or 5 years his girlfriend cheats on him and he takes that out on somebody?
Okay, how do you prevent that from happening?
I'm asking you.
Well, I told you, transparently.
Do you need a smoothness?
Jose?
Watch out, you too, bro.
Oh, there we go. Look at that. Nice and slick. I don't know if you're here for the conversation before this, but that's what I'm transparent about, is that going through the process of elimination, more gun reform doesn't prevent a sick person from doing sick things.
Does it make it harder for them to do sick things?
No.
Gun reform does not make a sick person.
I'm looking for an example from you from when that happened.
I mean, you did all the research coming out here. I'm not.
But if you're
I'm not
proposing,
arguing. I'm not
I know if
proposing
you're
it.
proposing that as one solution,
Yeah.
my immediate question to that is, okay, why when they've tried to do something like that, it doesn't work?
I don't know any cases like that, but you still have to say like.
So just to finish it, right? I do believe that mentally ill people shouldn't be able to obtain guns, but the problem is that the only solution we've seen for that is something like in Florida, which are red flag laws. Red flag laws means that, let's say you have a gun and your neighbor notices that you're acting crazy the last 2 years, they can call into the government and say, hey, my neighbor's acting crazy. I'm not gonna have this conversation. if a person says, "Hey, he's mentally ill," and then the government comes in and takes your guns away, what's to say that, how many times have we seen a judge fuck up and say that this person committed that crime and lock them up in jail? I'm not too confident in my government to prosecute things, so why should I leave it up to the government to decide if somebody's mentally ill in order to possess the gun?
Yeah.
So the problem I have is that more restrictions on guns don't seem to be the solution.
Okay.
There are problems in terms of preventative measures when it comes down to like mental illness stuff, but I really like solutions like, let's not have 6 doors open 24/7 at the school. Let's have one entrance with guards, and you can only have one place where you go in and one place you can go out. I shouldn't be able to skip lunch and come in through one door and come out through the other one. I want to concede something that I don't know what is the right thing here, and I don't think you do either, but we can both agree that mentally ill people shouldn't be able to obtain guns, right?
What should they do? Okay, yeah, sure.
Can we agree on that, though?
If somebody is actively in an episode or mentally ill, they should not have any weapon that could harm other people.
I agree
right?
with you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's a good place to start to agree
how
from
can we
because
help that person do better?
Right, and I think where we kind of veer off here is that you think that the solution for that is more policies that restrict guns. My problem with that is that we don't have evidence for that helping, and just using common sense, if somebody's mentally ill, they want to do something, not that they're mentally ill, but they also want to do something, they will still end up doing that regardless of how many obstacles they have in order to for that to happen. So let me just finish that.
How can we help the mentally ill people you've been bringing up? How do we help them not arrest them like he's saying? How do we help them get better?
Yeah, I think we need to bring back mental asylums back. I think that something that homeless people can benefit from.
Have not been shown to like do any kind of improvement. Instead, they actually make
we outlawed mental asylums when?
I don't remember when.
During Reagan's era, right? So it's not fair to say that we haven't seen, because as more Americans have had more guns, we've actually had more gun deaths. But dang, if 80% of people who commit mass shootings, according to the NIH, have a mental issue, then maybe putting them in mental asylums is a good preventative measure. I don't know, again, because the government can abuse mental asylums, can abuse people for that. That's the whole reason why we got rid of them in the first place. The reality of it that I keep showing everyone here is that don't just say gun restrictions, gun reform every time a mass shooting happens. It's a nuanced conversation that even somebody like myself, who's very pro Second Amendment, doesn't necessarily have a solution for. But what I do know, and we just keep going to common sense again, is that more restrictions on guns don't make it harder for criminals, mentally ill people, to obtain a tool to commit the crime.
Does it make it harder?
It doesn't.
It does not make it harder.
It does not make it harder. I want you to think about this. It's hard for you to put...
Are there things that you intentionally want to do that you don't do because of the law?
Yes, because of the law, exactly.
But it makes it harder
because
for
of
you?
the law, right? We're not talking about... You know that if you go and shoot up a school, it's illegal, right?
Yeah, wait.
Okay, so one second.
I don't know if you've ever smoked or anything.
Can I just finish?